welcome to Happiness, Awaken to Happiness Now. This is your host, Shefali Burns, and I'm just so happy to have you here. It's an honor today for me to have Dr. Alex Loyd on the show. So before I get started, though, I do have some housekeeping, some few little things that I need to tell you. One of them is that some people have asked me about the replays, so I just want you to know the actual website for the replays is awakentohappinessnow.com/replay. Okay, so awakentohappinessnow.com/replay. And so, like right now, we're on the live webcast, and you can listen to Dr. Alex on the live webcast or on the telephone. But then after the live interview is over, give me about an hour, maybe not even that long, and then it'll be on the replay page. Okay, so that's awakentohappinessnow.com/replay. And last night I mentioned the new little gift that I was starting, the free gift offer to acknowledge you, the listeners, to show my appreciation. So, like I said last night, every day I'll be randomly picking one comment from a listener, and the comment can be posted on the webcast, which is, like, for example, today it's on awakentohappinessnow.com/Alex, or you can submit it via email at support@awakentohappinessnow.com. So the winner will receive the MP3 recording of that day's speaker interview. So today, for example, the winner is Jennifer Turcott, and she's the lucky winner of the MP3 of last night's interview with Larry Crane. So yay, Jennifer. So, send me your comments, and comments, like I said yesterday, they have to be more than just great show, I love the speaker. It has to be something that you can actually share with our listeners, right? Like a key point that you learned from the call, a tool or strategy that you're going to implement in your life, an aha moment that was triggered by something in the call. So something really significant and specific. I'd really appreciate those kinds of comments, right? And so like I said, Jennifer Turcott, later on tonight, I will send her the MP3 of last night's interview with Larry Crane. So we're going to get started. Today's guest is Dr. Alex Loyd, and let me just tell you a little bit about Dr. Alex Loyd. He is a #1 best-selling author and has been featured live on NBC, ABC, CBS, Fox, and PBS news programs as an expert in healing the source issues underlying illness and disease. And he was the subject of a PBS special about the healing codes and healing the source of problems versus managing symptoms. The healing codes have been seen in USA Today, People, Time Magazine, as well as many other print media publications. And Dr. Loyd lectures all over the world, live, on radio, internet, like we are today, and TV. Dr. Loyd has a PhD in psychology and a doctorate in natural medicine. He lives in Tennessee with his wife, Hope, and sons, Harry and George, and he has an amazing story to tell us about how he brought about the healing code. So, welcome to the show, Alex. It's an honor to have you here.
Shefali, it's an honor to be here. Thank you so much for having me. I've been looking forward to it.
Oh, fantastic. So, Dr. Loyd, can you tell us, before we start talking about the healing codes, I really want to hear about your story and how you developed the healing codes and all that. How did you develop these codes? Because, I've been listening to you for a while, and it just sounds amazing. And I'm just, I'm stunned by the success that people have received from the healing codes, and it's wonderful to see. But can you share your personal story first?
Yeah, I'll be happy to do that. To do that, I have to go back a ways, and I have to get a little bit personal. So I hope this is not boring to you guys. But for me, it starts in 1986 when my wife and I, my beautiful wife Tracy and I, said I do and got married. And like most people, I guess, we believed that our life was going to be happily ever after. We felt like we had prepared for marriage better than anyone that we knew. And I really mean that one. I mean, our dates, we would read books separately about relationship issues. We would both take notes, and then for our dates, instead of going to like movies and stuff, we would talk about those books and relationship issues and how that might affect us when we were married and how would we handle that and all sorts of things like that. We did very extensive premarital counseling voluntarily. So we felt like we were really prepared. And less than 3 years later, both of us wanted a divorce. and our life was more miserable than anything I'd ever experienced in my life, more than anything I could have imagined at that time. And after visiting 3 doctors, we found out that Tracy, my wife, was severely depressed, clinically depressed. And the doctor said, you hear about depression everywhere these days. Well, there's depression, and then there's depression. And what Tracy has is the big bad bear of depression. It's the real thing. It is genetic. She will have it till the day she dies. Don't let anybody tell you anything different. So he kind of spoke that death sentence over us. The good news, he said, is we can manage it with medication. So, we were in our 20s. I hadn't been through any of my training at that time. So, at least managing with medication sounded good. So, we tried that, and we had a recommitment ceremony for our marriage, decided we really were in it for better or worse this time, and started on a journey to try to find a cure for Tracy's depression. It ended up being a 12-year journey. Now, we had no idea it would last that long, but it did. And we learned pretty quickly that antidepressants were not going to be the managing solution for her. She had horrible, terrible side effects. I can vividly remember waking up in the middle of the night, you're dead asleep, and waking up in the middle of the night to Tracy, as we say in the South, screaming bloody murder. I mean, not just crying. I mean, a blood-curdling scream. And, it just shocks you awake. And I turn on the bedside lamp and look over, and here's my beautiful wife, and she really is very, very beautiful, a beauty queen, all that sort of thing, sitting up in bed on white sheets in a white nightgown, and there's blood everywhere. And there's blood all over her arms, over her legs, over the white nightgown, over the sheets, and you can imagine how that blood looked on white, on her nightgown and sheets.
Wow.
And it was terrifying. Terrifying. And so, again, at that time, I hadn't been through any of my training. So, I'm having all this stuff go through my mind. Is she hemorrhaging internally? Is she dying? Is she going to die right here on this bed in the next few minutes? And so I'm reaching for the phone to call 911, and Tracy discovers what's happened. And what had happened was that as a side effect to the antidepressant she was taking, she had been clawing her legs, both legs, with her fingernails for hours in her sleep until she'd clawed the skin off of them. And she was, clawing so hard, and both legs were bleeding out onto the sheets and her arms and legs and all that. Later, when I was in private practice, I had some other people who had that same side effect. But and she had others too, and the way they do that with antidepressants and things like that, if you don't know, is they try you on one. If that didn't work, they try you on another one. If that didn't work, they try you on another one, and just keep going. Well, none of them worked for her, and any slight benefit was always outweighed by a big-time healing response. So anyway, we kept searching, and that's when I got my 2 doctorates, and those 2 doctorates, not 1% of either one of those was a career path. Both of them were trying to become an expert in depression to find a cure for my wife because no one else seemed to be able to. So we thought, hey, maybe if I become an expert in this, we can figure something out. I traveled all over the world for those 12 years. If someone had discovered some new thing for depression, I went. Shefali, I didn't even care if I got ripped off, because I thought, you know what? If I get ripped off 9 times, maybe the 10th one will be that brand new thing that's just been discovered under a rock somewhere that's not going to be available to the public for 5 or 10 years. So, I mean, I was like a sponge, and I was going all over the place. We were searching everywhere all the time to try to find a cure. And to give you an idea, I already told you we were in our 20s during most of that time. And, you know, we had a lot of friends and some good friends, probably 20 pretty close friends and a few super close. And, you know, as you might imagine, in your 20s, all of us were kind of calling each other and stuff all during the week. You know, hey, let's go to a movie tonight. Hey, let's rent a video tonight, back when you used to rent videos. Hey, let's barbecue this weekend. Let's go on a 3-day trip, you know, or something like that. There was none of that for Tracy and I. Every day was, you know, with our teeth gritted and our fist clenched, and with, you know, with sweat and blood and tension, and it was, are we going to make it through this day? I mean, it was that bad. Tracy read a library of books during that time, trying to not be depressed. One of them was a book by David Burns called Feeling Good, that was a very popular book, and a lot of psychiatrists actually used as kind of a manual. And in the back of that book is a depression test. And so Tracy took this depression test, and one day I picked up the book and was flipping through it, and I saw that she had taken the test in the back. And I wasn't, you know, trying to impose on her privacy. We shared everything, and she would not have cared at all if I had looked. And I looked, and it really shocked me. It hit me like a 2x4 between the eyes, because she had scored in the suicidal range. And I knew that she was really depressed, and I knew that things were really bad, but I'd never even considered anything like that. And so I started looking through Shefali, how she had answered the questions. And one of the questions was something like, every day I think about wanting to die. And Tracy had answered, absolutely yes, 5 out of 5. Every day I think about wanting to die. And I couldn't believe she'd answered that way. And I took that book and I ran to her in the house. And I said, Tracy, surely you answered this question wrong. And she just started weeping. She had been trying to protect me from knowing that she felt that bad. And she said, you know, I'm too big of a chicken to do anything about it, but every day as I'm out driving, I think it would be so easy just to veer that car over a little bit, and all of my pain and suffering would be over. And she looked at me and said, and all of your pain and suffering would be over, which of course was not true. I was, you know, and so that's how bad it was. Every day was just agony. And so in 2001, I was in Los Angeles Airport, and this was 12 years after all this started. And so at this time, I had 2 doctorates, and I had a private practice that was doing very well, doing primarily counseling and therapy, integrating some natural health. But Tracy was still depressed. We were probably coping with it better, but she was still depressed. And so you've got to get the picture here. I'm in Los Angeles Airport in an air-conditioned airport terminal. I'm relaxed, calm, cool, collected, had a good weekend, waiting for my plane to fly home. Beautiful day, plane's on time, everything's good. My cell phone rings, and I pick it up, and I hear one word. One word. And when I hear this word, three things happened. My knees buckled, and I almost fell on the floor. I had to put my hand down to catch myself. I didn't fall on the floor, but I would have if I hadn't put my hand down to catch myself. Secondly, I completely sweat. This is the one that was really most surprising to me. I'm not sure if this has ever happened in my life. I completely sweated through my clothes from bone dry to soaking wet all over, top to bottom, in 60 seconds. And I knew that because I looked at the time on the phone when I answered it. And the third thing is I had these really sharp, prickly needle chills, the kind that you don't get very often but that hurt a little bit when you have them. That's the third thing that happened. The word that did all that was high, H-I. So I'm sure if you're listening to this, you know, when you hear the word high, those three things happen to you too, right? Well,
no.
Of course not. But here's what was going on. I knew what was happening. It had happened before, but it had not happened in a long time. Tracy was at home in Nashville. She was locked in our bedroom in her nightgown, sitting on the floor, on a hardwood floor, with a blanket pulled over her head, paralyzed and weeping where she had been all night long unable to move. And it just ripped my heart out. And so I didn't know what to do. So I tried everything. I just tried to encourage her, you know, I love you so much, honey. I'm on the way home. The plane's about to take off. We are going to find a solution to this. I'm never going to give up. You know, I'm going to take care of you. Don't you worry about a thing. I'm going to get somebody over to the house before I get home to help you. Anything I could think of until the stewardess made me put my phone away. And the plane took off, and I did what I'd done every day for 12 years. I prayed that God would heal my wife, which I did every day. And what happened then had never happened before, and it's never happened since. One of those, I guess, once-in-a-lifetime things. I mean, at least in my life. There was nothing that really seemed mystical to me, okay? I didn't hear angels singing or heavenly music or, you know, anything like that. But what did happen is that I saw in my mind's eye, and I knew it was in my mind's eye, the blueprint of a healing system that I'd never seen, heard about, or studied. And by that time, after traveling around the world for 12 years, I had a doctorate in psychology, a doctorate in natural medicine. Anything that came out, I read. I was trained in Chinese medicine and all that kind of stuff. I mean, I knew quite a bit, and I'd never seen anything like this. It wasn't acupuncture. It wasn't chakras. It wasn't Reiki. It wasn't yoga. It wasn't affirmations. It wasn't exercise or nutrition. It wasn't changing your thought patterns. It was nothing I'd seen before. And so for the next 3 hours, I literally took word-for-word dictation. I ran out of paper, started writing on the backs of things. And it's just one of those things, I guess, that's beyond words. But I knew that I knew that I knew. This is what I've been searching for Tracy's depression. This is going to heal her depression. I just knew it. I don't know how I knew it, but I knew it. So I got home, did it on Tracy. Her depression was gone in 45 minutes. That's been 12 and a half years now. On Monday morning, I took it into my private practice, and it did the same thing. Clients who had been depressed were telling me they weren't depressed. Clients who had anxiety were telling me it was gone, and they felt peaceful and great. For some, it happened in an hour. For some, a day or two, for some a week. Not many were longer than a week. And, it was really one of the Mount Everest high points of my life. Tracy's not depressed anymore. My practice is going great. My clients are being healed. People are, every day there would be some new big miracle thing in my office, and me and the secretaries and everybody would be laughing and crying and jumping up and down. And, it was a really cool time. And then about 6 weeks later, something happened that I had never in my wildest dreams imagined. A lady came in who had an anxiety problem that had been healed and told me she had just driven straight to my office from Vanderbilt Hospital in Nashville, where they had run all of the tests again for the umpteenth time, because she'd had it for many years, for MS, multiple sclerosis. And the test showed that it was completely gone, not a trace. The doctors told her, we have no explanation. We've never seen this before. It's a miracle. It's just a miracle. So go live your life. Be happy. This is a 1 in a million thing, but you no longer have MS. And so, we celebrated, but I thought it was a one-time thing, to be honest, until a couple of weeks later, here comes another client with a story of cancer healing. Then a couple of weeks later, here comes another one with heart disease healing, then diabetes, then one of the most famous medical doctors on the planet, Dr. Ben Johnson, who was the director of a cancer clinic in Atlanta, has 3 medical degrees, is a cancer specialist, is the only medical doctor on The Secret. And Dr. Ben had been diagnosed about a year earlier with ALS, Lou Gehrig's disease, and was having profound symptoms, trouble walking, trouble breathing, etc., and was completely healed of that, of Lou Gehrig's disease, ALS, in about 2 months. And when that happened, this was really touching. He actually resigned as the director of the cancer clinic in Atlanta. He said, Alex, I have to give back. This saved my life, and it's what I've been searching for all of my professional life. So he spent the next 4 years traveling around the world telling people what had happened to them, his test results, and as a medical doctor, how it did that by healing the source, not the symptoms, and telling people about the healing codes. But I also knew, Shefali, that people weren't going to believe this just because I said it. So we spent the next year and a half testing the codes with the gold standard mainstream medical tests for stress. It's in every hospital, called heart rate variability, or HRV for short. The results of that, as far as I know, are still unprecedented in the history of medicine to this day. In fact, most medical doctors would tell you that until we did it, the results that we had were believed to be medically impossible. Then we spent a year and a half figuring out how to package it so that everybody wouldn't have to come to Nashville and buy plane tickets and stay in hotels and all that, but could do it from home in their pajamas. So on June 6, 2004, we released the healing codes to the public for the first time out of my basement with very little money, not a nickel of advertising. We knew we will sink or swim based on word-of-mouth results, because we will not advertise, and we've never advertised. And that's the way we wanted it. And so, whenever I speak, and I don't know, I probably speak 3 or 4 times a week, and hear people introduce me, clients in 50 states, 155 countries, interviewed live on ABC, NBC, Fox, CBS, PBS. it's like I've heard that a whole bunch of times now, but every time I hear it, I can't believe it. From where we started out of my basement, and it's all been word of mouth. So I just can't believe the journey, and feel so very blessed. And from where we started in 1986, in that 12 years of pain and misery, we never would have imagined in our wildest dreams being where we are today and being able to help so many people.
And I just think your story is so amazing, and you can tell that how grateful you are for being able to bring these healing codes to the people, and not just for your wife, but that is just such an amazing story of, like you didn't give up, and then that's what I like about your story is you never gave up, and then you were given this gift, and just listening to you, and I've been on your website and I've looked at all the testimonials, and it's like, why do more people not get this system? I mean, I personally know many people who suffer from depression and anxiety and panic disorders and and other physical ailments as well. So I mean, my mother just she had cancer and all that fun stuff, but she wasn't open to anything that wasn't traditional medicine, going to the hospital, getting chemo and all that stuff. But I mean, so can you tell me a little bit more about what the healing codes actually is and does? Because, I mean, it sounds like a miracle cure kind of a thing,
Yeah, sure, I'll be happy to. During those 12 years, one of the turning points for me, and I needed some turning points because, 12 years is a long time, and there were times that I didn't lose hope, but I sure was tired.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the turning points is I came across an ancient manuscript written more than 3,000 years ago by Solomon, who a lot of people believe is the wisest man who ever lived. And in this manuscript, here's what he said, and this is a quote: "Guard your heart above everything else, for from it flows all of the issues of life." And if you read the context, it's very obvious. He's not talking about the physical pump heart.
No.
He's talking about the spiritual, I love you with all my heart. So whatever this is, whatever the spiritual heart is, according to Solomon 3,000 years ago, maybe the wisest man who ever lived, any issue you can have in your life comes from this spiritual heart. Not religious, but the spiritual heart.
Mm-hmm.
And I've asked scholars and theologians in those languages, okay, in the original language, would that include cancer? Would that include relationship problems? Would that include financial and career problems? And the answer I've gotten from every one of them is it is all inclusive. It means any problem you can ever have, this is where it comes from. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
In that original language. So that gave me such hope. And when I read that, I spontaneously said out loud, that's it. And I don't know why I even said that. I just knew way down deep somehow, this is why she's depressed, and this is the solution. Now, I still didn't have the solution because I didn't know, okay, well, exactly what is the spiritual heart and how do you fix it? But it gave me hope, and I kept searching. And then a number of years later came kind of the answer, the second part of that, if you will. In 2004, September 12, 2004, in the Dallas Morning News, they have an article where they interviewed Dr. Eric Nestler. And Dr. Nestler is a medical doctor from Harvard who was the head of the department at Southwestern University Medical School in Dallas, Texas, a mainstream American medical school. And the reason for the interview is that they've been doing what they believe is groundbreaking research for years. Now they've finished it, ready to publish their results, and they've said, yes, the results are even more groundbreaking than we thought they might be. Okay, so they're saying this is a big announcement. And Dr. Nestler says this. He says, for most of our treatments in standard medicine, they are little more than Band-Aids, addressing an illness or disease's symptom, but not its source. And then he drops the bomb and says, we have finally discovered the one source of virtually any problem you can ever have in your life. And he says it will mean the difference between life and death. But we haven't figured out how to fix it yet. But he said the source is, we are naming it, cellular memories. And now if you're listening to this, just delete the word cellular. It'll confuse you. We started using the word cellular when we realized that the memories weren't all in the brain. They cut out every part of the brain, and the memories were still there. And they realized the memories are in the cells and the energy information field around the cells of all your cells, all over the body. Okay, so that's why they started calling them cellular memories. But it's just your memories. Okay, so if you have a memory that has fear in it, or anger, or low self-worth, or I'm not good enough, or the economy's too bad for my business to succeed or for me to start a new business, or I'm not attractive enough, I'm not connected enough, I'm going to get cancer because my dad did, I'm going to get heart disease because my mom did, or 1,000 other things. Those are all fear-based things. So if you have any memories with fear in them, that fear resonates, that signal, 24/7, like a cell phone or a radio station. And when it resonates that fear signal, when it broadcasts that fear signal in the body, it does two things. Number one, it causes the surrounding cells to close, become toxic, and go into death and disease mode. In fact, Dr. Bruce Lipton at Stanford Medical School says that is the only way you can ever get a disease. And then the second thing it does is it broadcasts that signal to the hypothalamus in the brain and causes it to flip on the stress switch when it should not be flipped on. It's only supposed to be flipped on if your life is in imminent mortal danger right now. But today, we're going into stress 10 to 20 times a day over the mail coming, over the stock market, over somebody looking at me funny in the grocery line, over the light turning red, over, all these things that have nothing to do with my life being threatened, but is putting me physiologically into stress, which suppresses my immune system, dumbs me down, drains my energy, causes me to come at whatever I'm doing from a negative perspective, and number 5, causes me to fail. Okay? So what the healing codes do, in fact, it's the only thing they do, is they activate a mechanism that is in your body right now. We just didn't know it was there until 2001. And when this mechanism is turned on, it finds the memories that are resonating that fear signal or the destructive energy frequency from the memories that are related to your whatever problem you're working on, and it neutralizes the destructive signal. When that signal is neutralized, the surrounding cells open up, start to release their toxins and do their work and heal. And Dr. Lipton says if a disease gene had unmasked, there's a really good chance that it will remask, which means the disease will go away. And the hypothalamus in the brain turns the stress switch off. Your immune system comes up, starts to heal whatever needs to be healed. You are now smartened up. You feel all kinds of healthy energy. You start to come at things naturally from a positive perspective, and you start to succeed where you've been failing. So that is the only thing the codes do, and that's how they work.
Wow, Alex, can I just say I don't know what is happening to me, but as I was listening to you giving this description, I am just getting all this energy coming at me, telling me, oh my God, what he's saying is so right. It's like, it's resonating with me so strongly. It's like a knowing that, it's like, yes, that makes sense. Yes, that makes sense. It's not my mind, but it's the rest of my being saying, yeah, that's right. It's like, oh, wow. I'm getting an aha moment. Like how
well, good.
I'm telling my listeners to send me their aha moments. I'm getting an aha moment right now. And it's like, oh, my goodness. Because for the past, couple of years, I've been telling myself, no more of these fear-based emotions, no more of these fear-based thinking, turn to love instead and do what's right for you, because there's so much fear right now, and there's so much stress right now. I'll tell you for myself right now, I was at the doctor Monday, and she says, you're under stress. She wants to give me anti-anxiety pills, and it's like, no, it's like, I don't like to take pills. I don't want to do that. But it's true, we're under so much stress, and it's nothing that is dire. I'm not going to die, no one's going to kill me today.
Right.
But there's just so much going on, and it's like, and these memories that you're talking about, that makes so much sense to me, because, I believe in past lives and so on. So, for many, many lives, we've had all these issues, and that are stored in our cells, in our memories, in our energy field, and so on and so forth. So it makes total sense to me what you're saying. I just have to say, it just makes total sense. I love it, because it makes sense. It's just coming from somebody who is logical, who is a doctor, who's done the research, who's studied it, and, it's like, wow, I've just learned so much. I have to tell you, I've just learned so much. Thank you. That was such a wonderful explanation, wonderful description, and I just feel as if, more and more people should try this, because if, I don't know. For me, it seems logical. It makes sense. It's resonating with me. It's telling me yes, yes, yes. And for people who are not into the spiritual stuff or the energy stuff or anything like that, this is something that they can actually understand and hold on to, right?
Yeah, right. This is a physical mechanism you are activating on your body. It takes about 6 minutes to do. A 7-year-old can do it unassisted. Many have. You can do it laying down, sitting down, standing up, walking, whatever. But it takes about 6 minutes, and it's very comfortable. You can do as little as one a day, which is 6 minutes, or you can do as many as you want to a day if you want faster results or feel like your problem's more serious, because it's not a medication. There aren't any side effects.
Mm-hmm. And this is not just for physical ailments, but this is for self-esteem issues, depression, like you said, relationship issues, money problems even, right? Abundance
Absolutely.
And prosperity. So it's not just the physical part. It's everything, right?
Right. That's absolutely right. It's for the source of any problem. We don't treat the symptoms, but it's for the source of any problem you could ever have.
Wow. And like you said, it can change in 6 minutes. I mean, that's nothing. 6 minutes? 6 minutes is like boiling water and making tea takes longer for me than 6 minutes. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, wow. I know I'm speechless, which I'm normally not.
That's okay.
But it's like I really feel strongly about this. I try not to be biased in any way, but I really feel strongly about this. I really feel like this is something that could help a lot of people that I know. Like, for example, I have a really good friend whose son is 8 years old, and it breaks my heart, but he has Crohn's and colitis disease, and he was born with it, and it's like he's suffered all his life, and it hurts me, when I talk about it, but,
right.
maybe this is something that can help him, so I would love to share this with him. And then I have other friends who have suffered from depression for years, maybe not as extreme as your wife's, but definitely for years. And they're not able to live the quality of life that they would like to live, And,
right.
And that's part of the reason why I started the summit, because I wanted people to be happy, find ways to be happy in their life and have a joy-filled life. I don't want people to suffer. And so when you're telling me all this, and I'm getting choked up and I have tears, because I really truly feel that this is something that could actually help people, So I'm really grateful that you were able to be here on this show today, so that you could explain this. if not for anybody else, at least for me, so that I know.
Good.
Because I'm really, like I said, I'm not supposed to be biased. I'm supposed to be impartial, but this is something that's really moving me to experience it for myself and try it out for myself and share it with others who, like I said, if this is something that can help people in 6 minutes, why not? Why not give it a shot, right? Oh my goodness, I'm just like, I have tears coming down my face. It's like, wow, I did not expect to have this kind of reaction. So,
That's all right.
Whew. So can you give us a few more real life examples of how about something a little bit more joyful, like prosperity, for example, and abundance? A lot of people are struggling in the economy, especially in the U.S., right? In Canada, it's not so bad, but in the U.S. especially, it's really, they're in a bad way. So can you tell us a little bit about some of the examples that people have given you about using either the healing codes or the success codes, for that?
Yeah, sure. One thing I ask people when it comes to success is, if I'm lecturing live, I'll say, okay, how many of you in the morning when you get up and you're ready to fix yourself some breakfast, go build a fire in the stove and then wait for it to get hot so that you can cook on the stove? How many of you go around the house at night and light all your oil lamps so that you can see? How many of you, when you're getting ready to go somewhere, go out 20 minutes early and, hook up the team and the wagon? And typically, when I ask people that, they kind of look at me like I've got two heads. Are you crazy? That's a stupid question. Why are you even asking that? But the interesting thing is that if I were asking that same question to live groups 100 years or so ago, maybe 110, 20, they would be looking at me like I was crazy too, because they would say, well, of course we do. Everybody does. Well, how come 110 or 20 years later it's a crazy question because nobody does? Well, technology is the answer. We've discovered new technology. In the success industry for the last 60 years, and this is according to industry insiders and experts, their own statistics. Now, they don't talk about them. They don't ever let them see the light of day, but I've talked to many of them. There's an approximate 97% failure rate, and has been for 60 years. But they get enough testimonials from the 3% of successes to make it seem like pretty much everybody's successful. But in reality, it's almost the opposite. It's very rare that someone is successful. And to me, it's because they're using outdated technology to be kind. It really wasn't ever very effective technology. And we have now discovered new technology that can allow you to be successful 97+% of the time instead of the 97% failure rate. The difference is we are going to teach you how to deprogram your what I call human hard drive viruses that are almost exactly like computer viruses. And just like a computer virus will keep your computer from working right, or your email or Word or whatever program you're trying to use, a human hard drive virus is programming inside of you that blocks your success, okay? And the way to know if you have it or not is, are you as successful as you feel like you are capable of being? If the answer to that is no, I can guarantee you've got a human hard drive virus that's probably blocking your success. Well, you have to deprogram that. There's no shortcut. You have to. You will never be successful as long as you have a internal programming that's programming you for failure. Well, you can't deprogram that with willpower. According to Dr. Lipton at Stanford, the great majority of those memories that need to be reprogrammed are in your and subconscious mind. Well, the definition of that is you don't know what they are. You don't know where they are. Okay? So you have to have a tool that will do that automatically, that's not based on willpower. Then you have to reprogram. You have to create and infuse new software for success that you don't have right now. Okay? If you did, you would be succeeding. That also can't be based on willpower. You have to have a tool that can do that automatically inside you, okay? And then you have to start doing what is in harmony with what I call the spiritual laws of nature. Just like there are physical laws of nature that you can't violate, like gravity. I mean, if you say you don't believe in gravity, that's all fine, but I guarantee you if I take you up to the top of the Empire State Building and push you off, halfway down you're going to believe in it. Okay? Well, there's spiritual laws of nature that you cannot violate, just like you can't violate gravity. Now, you may not physically die in 20 seconds, but you will die. It will create illness and disease, and it will block your success. So you have to have a blueprint of how to make your decisions, what to do and not to do, that is in harmony with the spiritual laws of nature, not religious. Issues of love, joy, peace, forgiveness, fear, anxiety, self-worth, identity, spiritual issues. And so we do all three to help people be successful. We give you the tools, teach you how to deprogram, give you the tools, teach you how to reprogram, not based on willpower, not based on trying harder, not based on changing your thought patterns, not any of that stuff, on a physical mechanism that automatically deprograms you and reprograms you, and then we're going to give you the blueprint of how to make the perfect decision every time in harmony with the spiritual laws of nature. And it's a process that I've never seen not work with people that I've personally worked with. And I mean, we have people who've had their income increased by I had a lady recently, her income increased by 16 times in a matter of 6 months. And she was already working 3 jobs. I mean, that's easy to see if she was out of work. But she was already working 3 jobs. But she was very talented in an area that she had never been able to break through on. She deprogrammed, reprogrammed, and started making her decisions correctly and just broke through immediately, went through the roof. I had a contractor in a town who for 10 years had a goal of making $1 million in a year, and the closest he had ever come was $500,000. We deprogrammed him, reprogrammed him, taught him how to make his decisions and choices in harmony with the spiritual laws of nature. The next year, he didn't make $1 million. He made over $1.5 million, and was on track the next year to make even more than that. And that was the last time I talked to him. The interesting thing about that is when he couldn't reach his goal, he was working 90 hours a week, cutting corners, type A, pushing everybody, was requiring his employees to work long hours, not paying them what they were worth, was not real kind and nice to everybody. After he went through the process, he cut down from 90 to a maximum of 50 hours a week, quit cutting corners, raised his employees' pay, and cut their hours. When he called me to tell me about it, he said, I still have no idea how it happened. He said it was the easiest year of work I've ever had in my life.
Wow. Nice.
But it's not a matter of working harder, trying harder, all that. It's a matter of deprogramming, reprogramming, and then making the correct decisions. By the way, a lot of times are decisions you would never have thought of. They're not your typical correct decisions a lot of the time, but it leads to usually perfect success for every person.
Wow. I mean, I love your stories. I just think it's fantastic that people are getting so much success and, joy, and they're pain-free, and I mean, it's wonderful. I'm awed by it. I really am. So Alex, can you tell us a little bit about the offer? I'm just going to tell the listeners on the phone and the webcast that you can find the special offer at awakentohappinessnow.com/Alex and click on Speaker Special Offer. Yeah, so can you tell us a little? I was just looking over the page myself a little bit, but can you tell us a little bit about it?
Yeah, absolutely. The first thing I'd like people to know is that when we first released the healing codes in 2006, the cost was almost $800. And we weren't trying to get rich. In fact, we had a very low profit margin in that, but that was the cheapest way we could figure out to give people everything they needed for life, including extensive ongoing coaching, and stay in business. And we still were, our trouble was not business, it was keeping up with demand as word of mouth spread. But that price always bothered me, because that meant for the people who are not as wealthy, it's a real stretch for them. So we kept working on that, and about 2 years ago, feel like we cracked that code and were able to get the price down to, I think it's $199 today, and still delivers everything you need for life. A lot of times you'll get a package that sounds really good, and I've done this, and then they tell you, oh, by the way, this is step one.
Mm-hmm.
or to get what you really need, it's going to be this, which is a whole lot more. That's not true here. This is the whole enchilada for life, for you and everyone in your family, your pets. It's always worked fastest and most dramatically on infants and animals. So there's instructions on how to use it there. There's all of the codes for any problem you could ever have in your life. You have the code in this package. It comes with a 250-page manual that is single-spaced, oversized. It's not that it's complicated, but we wrote it for all learning styles. So if your learning style is you want all the research, all the data, all the information, you've got it. If you are a visual person and you want it visually, we have DVDs, a quick start DVD that'll have you started within 30 minutes of receiving the program. It comes with 3 times a week live group coaching, and this is with real people, and this is not a lecture. This is two-way. So 3 times a week you can come in and talk to real people, have them answer your questions, have them take you by the hand, troubleshoot to make sure that you get from point A to point B, the results that you're trying to get. And that's available not for a year, it's available forever, or as long as we're here, at no additional charge. It comes with a 365-day, no questions asked, money-back guarantee for any reason. We want you to already have the results before you're committed to the purchase. We are A-plus rated by the Better Business Bureau. We're one of the few people in our field that are. I believe it's because we consider ourselves a service company, not a product company. And we will bend over backwards for you today, tomorrow, a year from now, 10 years from now, as long as you need it to get the results that you're looking for. So it's everything you need for life.
Wow, fantastic. And I saw that 365-day money-back guarantee. Nobody does that. Nobody has a 365-day money-back guarantee.
Yeah, I've had so many people tell me, you are crazy for doing that. But the thing is, back when all the products were hard copies, and were sent through physical mail, almost every return we would get, and we didn't get many, but almost every return that we would get was still in the cellophane.
So they hadn't tried it.
If people opened it up and tried it, they almost never returned it. So returns has never been a problem for us.
Wow, and I didn't know about the 3 times a week, the coaching calls. I didn't see. I missed that on the page, but that's fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're not going to say, hey, thanks for the purchase, see you later. We're going to say, hey, thanks for the purchase, let's get to work.
Yeah, exactly. Wow, I love that. That is fantastic. So I'm just going to tell the listeners again, it is at awakentohappinessnow.com/Alex, and just click on speaker special offer. I mean, this is one of those things that's, what's the word I'm thinking for? It's like, it's a no-brainer. That's what I'm thinking. It's a no-brainer. There's no reason why somebody would not try this in their life if they want change. I have many things in my life that I think can be changed, and and so many other people that I know. It's like, wow, this is like I told you earlier, Alex, that I had been in a couple of years ago. I had thought about getting a package then, and for some reason I didn't. But many times I'd gone back and looked at it, and but it's like, wow, there was a reason why I had to have you on the show, because I just feel like you're doing such a service and you're such a gift to the world by creating this system, these healing codes, and giving it out so freely and sharing it with so many people. And I know that you're also traveling quite a lot, doing live events everywhere, all over the world. And I really hope you come to Canada one day, because I would love to see you and give you a hug, because I'm just, like I said, I just think you're doing such a great job. I feel so blessed to be able to, talk to you, have you on the show, and just interact with you. This has been fantastic.
It's my pleasure. By the way, I love Canada. I've been there many times, and I'm sure I'll be there again before long, and I'll hold you to the hug.
Oh, for sure. So, yeah, I'm going to just tell the listeners again, it's go to awakentohappinessnow.com/Alex and take a look at his offer. And, if it resonates with you, choose it. If you have things in your life that you want to change, some of these things take 6 minutes or less. It's like 6 minutes to change your life and be happier. When I saw that, it's like, wow, 6 minutes and I can change something in my life, and start to begin having a better life, the life that I truly desire, a life that I've been dreaming of having, and, you know, it's like, okay, this is possible now. This is possible with this. You know, this is not something that's a pie in the sky, airy-fairy, maybe, maybe not, you know. I mean, this, to me, it just sounds really, really good. I really, really like it. Maybe I should become a spokesperson.
well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I really like it. So, yeah. Do you have any last words for our listeners, or do you have like something like one tip or technique that you can give to our listeners that they can start using today so that they can be happier in some way?
Well, let me share this, and this is probably the most important thing I've shared all day, and this may be more important than a technique because I don't know if I could share a technique in a minute or two, but three things. Number one, and I say this because every time I speak, there's people listening who are where Tracy and I were during those 12 years. You're trying to hang on. It's a daily struggle. You've been disappointed many times. You probably tried a bunch of stuff. So these three things. Number one, it's not your fault. And Tracy thought it was her fault. What have I done to deserve this? Whatever. And I've had people questioning me on that. You know, well, wait a minute. It's not your fault. What if the person's a serial killer or something? I don't care if they're a serial killer. It's not your fault. And you may not completely understand what I mean by that, and I really can't explain it all in a minute. But if you get the program, you will understand. But it's not your fault. Number two, the solution is not trying harder. And almost every program and solution you find outside of pills is about trying harder. Dr. Bruce Lipton at Stanford Medical School says based on his research in the lab, the odds of changing and healing these things through willpower is roughly 1,000,000 to 1. The solution is not willpower, but that's good news. Because if you're where we were during those 12 years, you may be short on willpower right now. And number three, unless you're on your deathbed right this minute, I believe you can still get to where you want from where you are right now. And if you're like me, that place is going to be way beyond what you had hoped for. And I believe we can help you get there. And so those three things are very important to me. They were real important to me during those 12 years, and hopefully that'll be a little bit of a message of hope.
Oh, absolutely. And, you know, you're right. A lot of people, all of us, we think those things all the time. And, you know, we try harder. We blame ourselves, you know, always. It always comes in the way. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Thank you. That is wonderful. So I just want to tell everyone again, go to awakentohappinessnow.com/Alex, and you can get his speaker special offer. And after this live interview, make sure you go to awakentohappinessnow.com/replay within about an hour. And the speaker special offer is also on that page as well if you want to, you know, go on there. So thank you so much, Alex. It has been wonderful. I feel so honored and blessed. I'm so grateful to have had you on the show today. It's been really a joy. I can honestly say that's been a joy.
Well,
so thank you.
You're very kind. Shefali, it is my pleasure. Thank you.
And to the listeners, you know, continue to live a life filled with joy, love, and happiness. And, you know, take your time, change your life one day at a time, do one thing that's right for you. So take a look and see if Dr. Alex Loyd's offer can be of help to you. So thank you so much, everyone, and have a good night. And I will see you tomorrow. Tomorrow we're having Norma Hollis on the program. So I will see you again tomorrow. Thank you.